Hi everyone, this is a very spontaneous live, and I just kind of wanted to talk about all the stuff that's been going on and see how everybody's doing. If you're watching this later, let me know in the comments how you are doing. So yesterday was the eclipse. I'm in Belgium. I did not really see it because it was also already dark. We could not see it. I think I honestly have not really been paying attention to this eclipse stuff. The one in 2017, I was able to see. I was in Arizona in the United States. I was able to see it. This one, I didn't really mess with it. I just kind of let it happen. But we are in a very powerful energy. We are in Mercury retrograde, which is always very interesting. I know a lot of people that don't like Mercury retrograde. If you are alive here, let me know how you're feeling. Don't be afraid to share in the comments how are you doing, what has been coming up for you with Mercury retrograde, with these eclipses. 2024 in general is going to be a year of a lot of stuff being exposed on a personal level, but also collectively. So it's going to start within a lot of stuff that has been working suddenly isn't going to work for you anymore. You're going to notice it's just not going to work. A lot of people have been getting sick. I've been getting a bunch of messages, and I made a few videos about that a while ago, and I'm going live now instead of just recording because I don't know how long this is going to be. I did take some notes, but Mercury retrograde, of course, is known for messing with technology. It is known for interfering with communication and bringing stuff to the surface. And I believe we are in Mercury retrograde until the 23rd or something. Until I think the third week of this month, we will still be in retrograde. But it's definitely been messing with my technology. I've noticed that my laptop has been acting up, my phone has been acting up, and we tend to then, of course, get mad, we get pissed off, and we are like, okay, what is happening? Why is this not cooperating? But these things are coming up to highlight something for us. And years ago, I would get mad and just count the days until this was over. But now I started really listening and just asking, okay, what is it that this is trying to tell me? What is this trying to tell me? So if you have noticed in your life and you're watching this now, what has been coming up for you during this Mercury retrograde, let me know. But in my case, there was a day last week, I think, and I was working on some digital images for somebody, and my software kept giving like an error. It wouldn't do anything. And I got really mad because I have a bunch of stuff to catch up on because I was sick and I'm trying to stay like on top of my schedule, and I was getting mad. Then I decided, okay, then I'm gonna paint because I have some portraits that need to be finished anyway. So I get my light out to start painting, and my light breaks. I'm like, this cannot be happening. Now I can't do this either. So what was I supposed to do? And sometimes the thing that we are supposed to do is going to be completely the opposite of what we think in our minds that we're supposed to be doing. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I have all this work. I need to finish all this work. And my, energy, or the energy, the external energy, was also telling me, no, this is not going to be for now. This is also not going to be for now. You need to do something else right now. And then it's up to us to put our egos aside and say, okay, because this is clearly not working. I'm working against the energies right now. And so this month, it's been really coming up for a lot of people, the technology stuff. And I know that's always during Mercury retrograde, of course. But a lot of people have been getting sick too. We are releasing a lot of stuff from our bodies, a lot of energy we are just letting go. And I'm seeing this in my Akashic Records readings, when I do readings like these last couple of weeks, a lot of people, I wrote it down here, are releasing stuff that they have been carrying with them from trauma that they've collected from before Earth even. So a lot of people are now, and I'm also trying out this new ring light. I got a new ring light and it's way bigger than the old one. And I thought it was the same size. So sometimes these things are happening because something better is actually waiting for you. I have a few examples of that I'm going to be getting into in this video. And if you're watching this and you have an example of how you surrendered to this Mercury retrograde and then something else actually happened that was way better for you, like my new light is actually way better. And it has all these crazy settings, like, but I'm not going to get into that. It's almost like you're in some kind of spaceship. But I don't need any of that anyway. Where was I in my story? So a lot of people are now releasing stuff that they have been carrying with them since way before ever arriving on planet Earth. Galactic trauma. There's also something called like the angelic fall, like when you basically left the angelic realm and you decided to start exploring in all of these creations from God, Mother, Father, God, Source, Consciousness. And there is this wound, this separation wound. So a lot of this stuff is coming up for people right now, I feel, in April. And we are being asked to really overwrite some of this stuff. And for a lot of people, there's like big shifts, really big shifts of stuff that we've been holding on to that's just being ripped away. It's being ripped away almost. And it does not feel comfortable at all. For a lot of people, I've been saying this in other videos too, it's like the rug is being pulled from underneath your feet. The stuff that has been working is suddenly not working anymore. But what is also really coming through is this Mercury retrograde, as weird as it may feel, the stuff that's been coming up between these two eclipses, as intense as it may feel, this is all happening for you. This is something that really came up. It's happening for you. All these things are happening because your higher self put them in place and orchestrated all of these events, all of these obstacles to happen for your growth so that you would embody your highest potential. So that's what's been coming up for the people that are now joining. I'm just kind of talking about Mercury retrograde, how my technology has been failing me, how I've been getting sick, and how all of this has led to actually me surrendering to a lot of the things that I needed to see on how I could be doing stuff easier. And I was asking if you have noticed some of these things the last couple of weeks in your lives. So if you want to share, feel free to share. But there's a lot of stuff that we are releasing on all these levels. Ancestral levels, but past life as well. Of course, past lives, we know that it's all happening right now. I still have a little bit of a cough that is lingering. And it has been interesting because the throat chakra has really been coming up in a lot of Akashic Records readings that I've been doing the last couple of weeks. We are clearing a lot of throat chakra stuff right now, I feel, in March and April. A lot of stuff. We are like really releasing a lot of big stuff right now. So if you want to share anything that's been coming up that you have been releasing this cycle, let me know. What else did I write down? So yeah, it's actually beneficial if you lean into this whole thing. Everything that's happening, just lean into it no matter how scary it may seem. It may seem scary, but this is happening on a global scale. You can see the stuff that's happening in the news. You can see all of a sudden there's earthquakes, There's all this crazy stuff happening. There's weird weather all around. So this is also having an effect on you individually, and the other way around. The stuff that is individually having an effect on you is all adding up to a collective shift that we are also tuning into. So that's also what is coming up. So you can ask yourself, the stuff that's been coming up that you feel resistance to, or the stuff that hasn't been working for you, the stuff that just has not been working and you've kind of forced it to work. I feel a lot of this stuff is now getting more highlighted because of Mercury and because of the eclipses, so that you cannot really ignore the fact that it's not working. You're now being forced to really look at it because it's not working, it hasn't been working, where you need to make changes in your life. That is now really being highlighted. So definitely look at that stuff. Look at what it is that may not be comfortable to look at, that hasn't been working, and make changes. And maybe they are not the changes that you would like to make, but maybe you don't see yet that this is going to be in your best interest. So this is going to look different for everybody. This is going to look different. One person may have to set boundaries with specific people in their lives. Another person may have to make some changes in their job, their professional life, that they have been not looking at. They haven't been looking at that stuff, and now all of a sudden it needs to happen. There's no way around it anymore. Or living circumstances, all kinds of stuff. This is coming up now in this Mercury retrograde, and our ego is going to get mad. It's like, I don't want this. I just want stuff to be easy. I want stuff to be easy for me. I don't want to be constantly challenged. This is something I hear from a lot of people. Why am I constantly being challenged? Why can't it ever just be calm? Because you did not choose for stuff to be calm. You did not choose for that, unfortunately. Most people that I've worked with in my mentorship, they say, like, why can't stuff just be normal for a little bit? Because your soul chose for this experience. Because it knew that you needed these initiations. You needed all of these, like, places on this timeline that is your life. Your soul knew this needs to happen then, this needs to happen then, this needs to happen then, so that you are going to be forced to tap into yet again a higher version of yourself. That other version of you that knows what it has to do, that knows that it doesn't need to control everything, that knows that stuff doesn't have to be predictable, that is going to push you into trusting, into surrendering, into knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. And you are going to be constantly challenged in your faith in Source, in Mother, Father, God. If you chose to be here on a spiritual journey. I don't know what I'm saying. This is all just very spontaneous. did not really plan anything. I was just going to be talking about Mercury retrograde, what's been coming up. But this is all just stuff that is relevant. This is an intense month for a lot of people. I've been getting emails from people, and I talked about this in my March update, in my April update, people suddenly separating from a person that they've been with for decades, people losing their jobs and having no idea what they're going to do now. There's companies closing, there's companies shutting down, thousands of people losing their jobs, and this may look like, okay, now what? This is horrible, but all of these souls did choose for that experience because they are going to gain something from it. Otherwise, they would not be experiencing it, because God doesn't punish without rewarding. That's just not the way it works. There's something there for you, and you cannot see it yet, but it's not because you cannot see it that God doesn't see it for you. So you're being asked to surrender and to know that you don't have to see what it looks like. You just have to trust that you're being guided to where you need to go. And Mercury is highlighting the things that you need to see so that you can more quickly shed, release, let go of old things, habits, people, situations that you have been hanging on to for far too long, basically. And what else do I have here? We see this in the world. It's happening all over. So what is it that you want to focus on too? What is it that you have been wanting to focus on, but that you think all these things are standing in your way? Like, we have a lot of people that want to do things, but there's all these limiting things that are limiting them from getting to that point. But how many of these things are actually a problem? And how many of these things are illusions? And that is what the dragons, especially the golden dragons that are connected to the seraphim angels, are always saying. A lot of these perceived limitations are illusions. But you have to walk through this fear, basically, first, that you are feeling, and then suddenly you're going to see that a lot of these things were never a problem to begin with. So yeah. And in my case, what do these changes look like? For instance, I got sick. So I got sick, and now still have a little cough. Didn't have a voice for a week and a half. And 80% of all of my work, I use my voice for 80% of my work. So that's just my example that I'm going to give you, so that you can look at what has been coming up in my life and how am I going to look at that. Now, I could have gotten very mad, like, why is this happening? And now I can't work, blah, blah, blah. But I took that as an opportunity to listen, and I needed to take a break. I couldn't use my voice. So I had to become creative and think of what can I do with this time. So I started writing a lot. I needed to finish the dragon story, a channeled story that I'm publishing. And I took the time to write that story, to finally finish it. It was something that I had been putting off. I had not been doing it, but it needed to happen. It was time, so that was the time to finally do that. So that's what I did. And after that, I realized, like, a week and a half went by, my voice was back, but I tried recording a few Akashic Records readings and I started coughing. I got worse. And instead of getting mad, I got mad a little bit, like, why is this happening? I was better. Why am I getting worse? Why is my voice going away again? I started realizing maybe this is trying to tell me something. So I tuned in and went, okay, what do you want me to do? God, tell me what it is that I'm supposed to do. And what I heard was, okay, instead of recording your Akashic Records readings by voice, try typing them out like a story, which is something that I did in the very beginning. But it took more time. It was like more time consuming. So I switched to voice recording. Anyway, I said, okay, I started emailing my clients, said, I apologize. I'm going to be typing your entire Akashic Records reading and sending it to you as a story with the images in there, because I always give people these digital images that I create of their past lives that I can see. So I used to send it as a separate file together with the voice recording, and now I just added everything into one file. And I realized this is actually way better. If I would have never gotten sick, I may have never realized, or I would have never been forced to look at how I could offer this in a more efficient way, in a better way. And I've gotten reactions back from people that said, this is awesome. I really loved receiving the information in this format. And it may not be what I want to do, but it is clearly what is best for my work, for the people, and in how people can digest this information with the visual images that come with it, and with the story. It just works better. So I had to just accept that this is something I have to embrace. And now that I started doing it, my voice got way better, and I'm going to keep on doing it this way because it is actually way nicer for people to receive it this way. So that's my example of what Mercury was trying to show me, for instance. And I do plan on traveling more again in the future, and this is actually going to be way easier for me. This is going to give me more flexibility to do my work. So that's an example of how you may not be able to see what is going to be good for you, but how God, source energy, sees what is going to be good for you. And then when we resist stuff like that, then we are going to be fighting against the stuff that's trying to help us, the stuff that's trying to show us something. So, and in this hectic world, in this crazy world where we have to deal with so many things, it is sometimes we just don't have time. We don't have time to look at all this stuff. When something isn't working, we're going to get frustrated. We're going to get mad. And why is this not working? Especially with electronic devices. And Mercury messes with that all the time. So it is going to highlight stuff for us. So keep that in mind. So definitely let me know in the comments, what is it that Mercury or these eclipses have been trying to get you to look at that may have been something that you've been ignoring, that you've successfully been able to just keep on pushing away because you don't want to look at it, and it works. It's like you make it work. And suddenly there's going to be stuff that maybe just doesn't work anymore. And now is going to be the time to face it. And that may be scary, but know that you are not the only one. Keep this in mind. You are not the only one that is going through massive changes right now. There are so many people. I see them all over in their own videos that they're posting, in the messages, the emails that I receive. Like I said earlier, in the Akashic Records readings that I have been doing lately for people. So many old patterns are now coming up to be released right now. Like April, May, June, we're going to be asked to really release like deep stuff, old stuff. And the older a wound is, the scarier it often will be to let it go. So just keep in mind, you're not the only one. There's hundreds of people all over that are going through this stuff. So, what else? So yeah, I think this is kind of it. So I have been working on the dragon story. I'm going to be releasing it soon. Part 1 is already on my website. Part 2 is on my website. Part 3, which is actually the most important part, I plan on releasing this week. So I wanted to do this way sooner. I wanted to have this done weeks ago, but I got sick, Mercury intervened, and in hindsight now the timing is perfect. The timing is perfect right now, because there are more and more people now awakening to their dragon connections, something that I'm also seeing in the Akashic Records. So these stories are going to be the foundation for a dragon course that I'm working on. And in this dragon course, you are going to get these stories to read and we're going to go deeper into these stories in video modules. You're going to have the option to get a one-on-one Akashic Records reading that looks at the connections that you have with your dragons, where in all of this dragon history that is going to be a part of this course, you are, like, what is your role in this dragon history? And how are you supposed to work with your dragon or dragons in this lifetime right now? What is your soul contract with the dragons? And I have the eyes over here, and you also have the option to get a portrait. That is all optional. You have the option to get a one-on-one hypnosis session where you get to be initiated into working with your dragon again. So, and I also just offer Akashic Records readings in general. I offer a few different options for one-on-one mentorship if you want to work with me, working on whatever your spiritual journey. Just go check out my website or send me a quick message and just tell me what's going on in your life. And if you're not sure how we can work together, then I can help you, send you in the right direction. But let me know in the comments what has been coming up for you to look at during this Mercury retrograde. What has been coming up with these eclipses? Stuff that's connected to past lives, stuff that's connected to family members, to childhood, stuff that is connected to just patterns that you have not been looking at. Let me know and share it with others, because it's always interesting for other people to see what other people are going through. Like I said, we're all going through this together. So let me know and I will be back. And if you want any information, just reach out. Bye bye.